Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible. Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day.
So Kid Rock is joining a new Republican craze of getting furious at Bud Light. And why is that? Well, of course, because they had an advertisement that happened to have a trans woman in it. So Republicans really have lost their minds in the sense that anytime they see or hear about any trans person existing literally anywhere, they've decided that they are just going to boycott any company that is doing anything that even slightly recognizes the existence of trans people, which is just wild because not only does it make them look deeply unhinged, but also reveals the fact that these people really don't understand what a boycott is. I mean, quite literally, he clearly just bought a bunch of Bud Light just to shoot with his gun. What about that is a boycott? Buying the thing is sort of the only thing that you're not supposed to do with the boycott. That's like the whole idea of what a boycott is. And clearly they don't understand that. But they can't help themselves because they're just so blinded by rage that they behave so ridiculously and irrationally that it almost makes sense for advertising companies to explicitly put out content with the intention of upsetting right-wingers, because then there's this whole media firestorm about how right-wingers are freaking out about feminist M&Ms or a trans woman in a Bud Light commercial or you name it. And it's just deeply, deeply hilarious because it is Republicans really undermining their own cause. Every time they get angry about an ad campaign like this, and these companies realize that Republicans being angry actually helps these companies more than anything else because Republicans are deeply unpopular and this weird anti-trans stuff is deeply unpopular, it just undermines their own cause. These right-wingers quite literally erode their own ability to make the impact that they're trying to have because it is so obvious and on its face hateful. Because, I mean, seriously, what about just a trans person existing is enough to get you so angry that you would orchestrate this whole video where you literally got a gun to shoot at cans of beer? Like, excuse me? And it just goes to show how disconnected from reality these people are, and the fact that people like Kid Rock are putting stuff out like this, I think should give people an indication that this is not some sort of organic grassroots movement against trans people. That this is something where a bunch of incredibly wealthy right-wingers with nothing else to do in their lives have just decided to hyperfixate on the existence of trans people and just relentlessly push attacks on the existence of trans people. Which is why this is really such a failing strategy for Republicans electorally, because it is deeply unpopular. Most people genuinely don't care. And then there are also a lot of people that are well-meaning and also just do care about trans people. You take those groups of people together, and all of a sudden what you have is a broad coalition against whatever it is on God's green earth Republicans think they're doing right now. And it also reveals another layer to this, that fundamentally these are people without real serious problems. These are people for which the economy is already working. I mean, Kid Rock is incredibly wealthy. He could just be living his life peacefully, but instead of just existing as a person, he has decided to take upon himself to just be outwardly hateful. And unfortunately, a lot of people in the anti-trans movement are really doing the same thing. And so weirdly enough, there's actually a lot of money in it for the people that are willing to spew a bunch of anti-trans hatred. Even some trans people have capitalized on this trend. I mean, you have people like Buck Angel and Blair White who go out of their way to attack other trans people, all as part of like this right-wing grift, not really willing to accept the reality that if right-wingers got what they wanted, both Buck Angel and Blair White would literally be banned from public. But at the end of the day, the real takeaway from all of this is just how deeply pathetic these people are, where the existence of trans people is enough to send them spiraling. They just can't sit down and watch TV without getting upset. I mean, genuinely, I don't understand how these people can go about their day-to-day lives, because everywhere they go, they must see something that is upsetting to them. If they see a rainbow somewhere, if they see a gay person existing, ooh, or a trans person existing, ooh, or if they see somebody waving a pride flag, then all of a sudden they're just up in arms and just furious. And it's got to be exhausting, right? Like, how do you live your life like that, where every single thing that exists in the world is upsetting to you, but it's not even the things that are actually upsetting? Like, these people aren't out and about angry that war is happening in the world. They're not out and about angry that poverty is happening in the world. They're not complaining about any of the real problems that exist in the world. No, they would instead spend all of their time hyperfixating on fake problems, all just driven by this unhinged hatred. And so really, above all else, this is just deeply embarrassing, not just for Kid Rock personally, but also for like every right-winger that's got sucked into this anti-trans nonsense. Because there are so many celebrities that have basically lost like all of their reputation, many of their friends, and sometimes even their families, just by being transphobic. You've got people like J.K. Rowling, Elon Musk, Graham Linehan, all have just completely devolved into doing nothing but just spewing anti-trans nonsense, to the point where their ability to like operate in polite society has just been completely eroded away. And on some level, it's incredibly sad, but also, unfortunately, a lot of these people have a lot of influence and power in our system. And so we are forced to deal with the consequences of random millionaires and billionaires who have just decided that hating trans people will be their #1 priority.